T-Man 978 Chill Review.
Hello everyone, T-Man 978. Right now we're about to be looking at MSS-01 Sirius, the solo wing. This is an Armada Starscream, but it's what's known as Legend Scale. It's a very tiny version of himself. So it's smaller than Deluxe class. Here is the packaging. There are some example poses and whatnot. And yeah, and if you want to see what it looks like in the package, here's a picture that I took separately right here. And you get the Starscream. He gets 3 extra sets of hands. One set to give him 5mm port compatibility, clenched fist, and the sword holding hands where they have the thumb up like this, like they like to do. Iron Factory has hands like this all the time. You get a tiny Swindle car representative, which is his Minicon. It does not transform, but it does have functioning rolling wheels. Here is the bottom. There is a port on the bottom. Well, yeah, there you go, that. And you get the transforming wing, which I put Toy Hacks Repro labels on there. Then I went ahead and cut it because I'm awesome. And it can actually transform like that. You get a sword that doesn't transform. It's just meant to mimic what it looked like in the show because it didn't look like a transformed wing. Even though this is good right here. That looks really good, but it doesn't have little lumps on it. And let's let you see the actual Starscream, or what's supposed to be Starscream, Sirius, I should say. Here it is. Let's let you see the cockpit. There is some semblance of detail in there. There's at least one thing in there that looks like a seat. We have this detail right there, picked out in paint. All the little technical details that the original toy had for the most part. The only thing like really different from its old school look is the way the arms transform. The arms always folded up at the elbow, but we do have landing gear. The Voyager class doesn't even have landing gear. This thing has way more engineering than the Voyager class, by the way. It doesn't roll, and if there's any gripe that I have with this functions for robot mode to get it out the way. It does not lock into place in any way, so you can bump that up, but it stays stiff enough. It's not like crazy loose or anything. And as far as the arms, if you don't want them back like that, you want them to have the old school look. You can bring it down and the elbow is right there, or part of one of the elbow joints. So you can actually fold the arms kind of forward. They protrude more than the regular one did because it folded back. There you are, that. And let's let you see the Voyager class one. The arms are way back, but yeah. I think the way the paint detail came out better on this. With that, it's more engine-like back here on the Voyager, where it's like empty space back here. And they do have a flight port right here, right there, and actually right there. So you could, if you wanted to, peg this sword right there, with whatever sense that would make. No, there's no way to put it like in a better spot. So you can see if you have a 3mm peg stand like Figma and SH Figure Arts typically have, you could do this. I have a link in I have an Amazon link below that has a little section called Action Figure Enhancers. I have several stands that fit this type of thing. But one thing I almost forgot to show These actually pull forward to become the cannons, and they are posable. Like you have them angled however you want, but typically they just came forward. And here is the detail on that. The Minicon port or peg is right there. So it can peg on there. You're actually supposed to peg the Minicon on first because that what gives him the ability to have these guns. So it's like weird that he had this built into his body, but when you attach the Minicon, all of a sudden you get the functionality. Or maybe they were something else in his vehicle mode, robot mode, and then when the Minicon attaches it, it transformed it into that and gave him an extra power. So there's that, and that's what that looks like. To definitely 100% show you, here is this. That's how big it is next to the Voyager class in its vehicle mode. Detach the arm. We can detach this, which you need to like basically bend this way, and then I can come off. Now we get this wing, which we can transform, and this actually hinges. I'm going to bend it that way so that we can put it like this and slide that back on. And now we can peg the arm back the way it was. And now here's this wing on there, and he has 2 Decepticon logos. But here is New Age Prowl. That's how big he is next to that. Here is how big, I don't know, I keep forgetting what company this is, but it's an undersized beachcomber. It's smaller than regular Legend scale. But you also see how big Swindle is next to him. So that's probably, that's kind of a little bit smaller than it should be if it was a real car, but there you are with that. Transformation, much like the original and the Voyager class. It's simple. You can move this out the way to get the Minicon off. I like to do that because that thing can fly off and it's tiny. But anywho, I'm going to grab the arms, pull them down to here, get them out the way for now. And now where else? What did I like to do now? We can pull this away and lift this up and get the leg out like that. Lift this up because the feet are in there. Get that out like that. Right here, this thruster comes out. It's on a ball joint. You can rotate and come down, and this comes out forward, I guess, to make that easier, but it wasn't in the way. You can straighten out the leg, straighten out the foot, pull out the heel, shut this, which is really similar to the Voyager class, and do that. Straighten out the foot, bring out the heel, shut this, bring that forward. And now we can lift up on this and push that up while bringing this down. When we get it to this point, there's a hinge right here where we can bring this like that. And now there's a peg here that goes into a hole right there. Bring this up and bring that to match it, which it did. And we can rotate the wings and get it back, rotate the wings and get it back. Put the head down, open up the forearms right here, get the hands out of here. They are very tiny. Or hard to grip. Get the hand out of there, and boom. Technically, at this point, oh wait, I completely forgot to rotate this knee thing over here. He is a robot, but you have your choice of options as far as how you want him to look. But technically, this is a look for him, but you can shut this right here, or lift that up, shut this, and bring this down so it can be on his back. And you can also bring the thrusters down so he'll look like this right here. And let's zoom in on his face. Super duper faithful. As you can see, it's very tiny compared to my fingers. There's that. That ball joint allows him to look all the way the heck up. You get side tilts, rotation. The shoulders are crazy nuts. You can do that. You can do this. You can bring this in for butterfly or sword holding action. The arm goes out to there. And let's say you don't want to use that butterfly because maybe it breaks it up too much. You could do this. And the arm still can like crunch in some. But you get a bicep swivel. You get an elbow bend here. And another one at the base. And yes, as you see, it suffers from that situation where this doesn't really like lock into place. And the joints are tight, so sometimes you'll make that open by accident. Well, then on top of that, well, the wings are on a ball joint, so we got that going on. And I showed this. I mean, we can have this forward, have these out like that. You can lift this up. We can reattach the Minicon to the back. But like I said, be careful, because moving this past the Minicon, you'll hit those wheels. Now I see what I did. This definitely bumps on the Minicon, but I'm gonna leave that like that. You got this, can kick all the way up, all the way back, thigh rotation, double jointed knees, the foot rocks crazy forward, foot rocks back, and you got ankle pivot. And the foot is on a ball joint, so you can rotate the foot some before it starts bumping into things. And on outside of that, we do have a waist swivel right here, which you can barely see. And technically, it does have an ab crunch. And that's why this moves forward right there. But all that ab crunch and waist swivel and all that, you can barely see it. Because it's behind this big long ass cockpit, which is toy and cartoon accurate. But I'm gonna take this off before it shoots away. Now, one feature the original toy had that I used to use all the time, it had a Minicon port right there, and I would attach Swindle to the side of his arm so it can be like a sword or something. I mean, technically, unfortunately, you lose the ability to use the elbow. You can turn this around and port him on there and turn the fist this way, but you lose all arm articulation besides the shoulders. Besides the regular bicep swivel, it does have a swivel right here on the lower elbow, so it swivels in two spots. The hands are on ball joints, as you saw, so you can just open the panel up and pull them off. It's not tough to do. Right now I have the sword hand right there with the thumb, and a more open grasp hand that can hold the 5mm weapons. And so you can see this here is a 5mm weapon, his sword from the Voyager class. You can actually still port that into his hand, and they are the exact same size, or length I should say. Alright, you lose access to the stand port that he had in jet mode, but they did put one on the bottom of his crotch, so you still have access to a stand port. Plus, he has these ports in the back of the wings. And we saw what he looked like. Oh yeah, I got his fist in, if you didn't see that. But you saw what he looked like with the sword and both wings. But now we can transform this, and I'll put his hand back on so we can see what he looks like. Alright, here he is with this. Now the hands he comes with out of package, they're better for holding these swords. You don't have to worry about them dropping them. So honestly, the extra hands they give you are nice, but you don't have to really take off these fists if you don't want. And here's what that side of his body looks like without the sword. Here I angled him in such a way where you can see his waist swivel, you can see his real crotch. You know what? Duh, I had to take it back what I said about him not being able to bend his elbow. If you attach him, if you rotate the forearm and attach him there, since the biceps rotates at the top and bottom, you can just rotate it this way so that he could get this elbow bend. I mean, you can have that backwards elbow bend, but if you absolutely want him to have a Minicon on his arm, you have the option and you still have some form of functionality. So it's like, wow, they thought about everything. But since the pig is smaller, it doesn't stay on there that well. But overall, my thoughts, this thing is great. It is way better than the original. I think it's better than the Voyager class, but it's just small and not going to work with your regular generations. So you really got to be a fan of Armada Starscream to want this, to be honest. Here's this comparison right here. The little one has double jointed knees, has double jointed elbows. Well, this one has double jointed elbows too, but it has wrist rotation, and because the wrists are on ball joints, you can hinge it up and down and in and out and whatnot. You have the butterfly joints, which this doesn't have. This one technically has an ab crunch, and the thrusters on the back of the cannons move independent of each other, whereas this is one big backpack that moves all together. But yeah, this thing has a lot engineering wise and posability wise that the bigger one does not have, which is crazy. Here he is against Beachcomber, which probably is the correct scale. Like here he is up against some New Age and Magic Square. She's New Age, I believe. The rest of them are Magic Square and might be too short next to that Soundwave. But that's kind of the Sunbow chart size for G1 figures. He's not G1 though. Alright, end of the day, this is an awesome figure. It looks like the source material is made out of good material. It's crazy posable, way more posable than any of the official versions of this figure. It comes with some awesome options that I've showed off, and really I don't have too many complaints, like at all, so I'm not even gonna bring them up again. One thing I didn't show is he has another stand port right here in this part of his body, not just under the crotch. But yeah, I don't have time to do the reverse transformation. If that's something you want to see, let me know. I might do a separate transformation video where I redo the transformation to robot mode and then back to jet mode. Let me know. Yeah, thank you for watching. Until next time, T-Man978 out of here.
Figure action.
baby. Join the Syndicate Toy Hunters Facebook group. Link in the description.
Click the videos. Click the videos, baby. Click the videos. You should really click these videos. Click the videos. Click those videos, baby. Click the videos. You really should